Thank you for joining the Sharpest College Football Podcast. This is part one this week, our week one review. I am BuckMetrics, joined as always by Robert Martin. Robert, week one is in the books. I think that you and I had a better week one than Kalen DeBoer, fair to say?
I think definitely better than Kalen DeBoer and better than some other people, yeah. One, I will just say, man, it was great to have college football back, a nice Saturday. I will say that because some of the games got front-loaded on Thursday and Friday, the afternoon slate was a little lacking. I think basically only one real watchable game on from 3:30 7:30, but the night games definitely made up for that, so that's fine. But no, honestly, we had comparatively to everybody else, obviously we were not perfect, but just an absolutely phenomenal weekend from us. We had a really good weekend. A lot of the stuff that we said that we warned about came to pass. We were not perfect. We had some misses in certain cases, but maybe some weak spots. But man, though, there's a lot of stuff we just absolutely nailed here, and we're gonna get into that in just a second here.
Yes, we will. Now, before we do, this is our glossary. If you are new, thank you for joining us. Take a screenshot of this. You will need it for this and future episodes. And as always, if you're returning to this podcast, you are, by definition, brilliant. And with that, we will get to our week one takeaways. I've got a few here. You know what? Miami is a top 3 team. How about that?
Maybe. I'll give you maybe. That's a big movement for me.
I'll put it this way. Here's my argument. You see this, I've seen this up close with my own teams. A lot of the bad habits from last year hung around in the early part of this game for Miami with some crummy tackling. And there was a lot of Mario in that fourth quarter as they gave up a two-score lead. But the defense looked so much better. This kid, Tony, is a badass. Very good match with Carson Beck, who looked like 23 Carson Beck. The thing that stuck out to me the most, which I've only heard one person talk about, is I think if there's one certainty I have coming into this season of the top teams, is that Notre Dame's offensive line is really good. And Miami made them look bad. And now, this is probably confirmation bias of my Corey Heatherman take, but that defense looks much, much, much better than last year's. If the offense is even close and they have the same OC, they have a different quarterback, but he looks like the best version of himself. I'll put it this way. At this moment, argue against them being in the top 3.
It's hard. So this is I guess we're getting one of my L's out of the way super early here. But no, I doubted. I did doubt Miami. And I think there is still, I think the thing is, when you look at the results for the weekend, it's like we always do this where we're like there should be 3 teams in the top 10. We do this and we're like, none of these teams are good. And to be honest, it's very hard to make an argument for anybody to be that much better than Miami at this point.
That's exactly it. There's no number 1 or number 2, and I think that I think that any faults you're going to find with this team, and there are faults, and there are 11 more games in the regular season for Mario to find ways to not find a way and do the Mario thing. I think that they probably have, I would say, ironically, outside of the team that they just beat, they probably have one of the fewest areas of questions. Now, it's a small area, but it's a big question, just like the guys in Penn State.
Yeah. No, and this is the thing. I questioned how much you could do to turn around a defense in 1 year. And wow, they played defense, like actual defense. Like, I was amazed. We've seen Miami get absolutely shredded by Cal and Virginia Tech. And we did not see that today. Like, they played. So there's kind of 2 takeaways. Like, 1, that's a serious defense. And 2, the offense is not as good with Cam Ward, but that's totally fine if your defense is a lot better. Again, We weren't asking Carson Beck to come up there and put video game Cam Ward numbers up there. We were asking him to be good, and the defense had to improve, and that's exactly what we saw. The other thing that I will say on this, too, is that if you are watching that game and you have a Notre Dame ticket, like I do, like I'm sure Buck does, don't rip that up just yet. I would not rip that quite up yet. I think Notre Dame, like, I was very concerned about CJ Carr. I thought CJ Carr might not be able to be a really good starting quarterback. I was worried about that, and he was in that fourth quarter, he was very impressive. And that interception there, that cost them the game, because basically it wasn't technically an interception, but it was in no way his fault. it was like a batted up pass that I think another person batted up and then the defender caught it. Like insane stuff that happened. But again, he led the team down the field twice to get back to a tie game. Very
Yeah.
impressed by him, very impressed by Notre Dame, and also very impressed by Miami too. Yeah, no, I was doubtful of Miami and I was somewhat doubtful of Notre Dame, but after that game, I came away thinking, hey man, both these teams are actually pretty good. So that
Yeah.
was yeah, those are I say my three losses, and we'll get to the third one later probably, but yeah, these were the two areas I was a bit softer on. But yeah, no, I'm actually very impressed to see those two teams this weekend.
Yeah, and a good point on Notre Dame. I'm really not good at this, but this is probably the time to double up on your futures bet if you are so inclined.
Yes, and maybe I'm not sure what it is at this point, but a Notre Dame to make the playoffs would probably be a very good bet
Yeah.
right now. You're probably getting that at maybe plus money or something like that, so that'd be very good to get.
Yep. Yep. All right, my second takeaway. A couple of Big Ten teams. Boy, one was bad as expected in passing, and one was really bad and much worse than expected in passing. Billy Edwards got hurt. He seems like he's okay. Good news for him. Maybe not such good news for Wisconsin. Overall, the team had a 50 apex against the. Do you know the mascot of Albany, Robert?
Is it the? Oh no, Wisconsin played. Wisconsin
Oh,
played the
oh no, you're right. They
Miami,
played Miami,
yeah.
Ohio. Pardon me. Yeah, yeah,
Iowa
yeah,
played
yeah,
Albany. We'll get to that in
yeah.
a sec. Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, yeah, it's that one was that was horrifying to watch. I think Danny O'Neill did a better job than Billy Edwards did. And yeah, I don't know
Well,
why that game was even remotely that shouldn't have been close at all. That was terrifying. If you're a Wisconsin fan, you're absolutely terrified right now of
yeah.
that. Yeah.
And that's Jeff Grimes. I think there's this little through line story about Matt Lubick from Nevada, and we'll get to this in a second. But Matt Lubick from Nevada to Kansas, Jeff Grimes from Kansas to Wisconsin. So you're gonna do I guess it's not the transitive, but the distributive properties of that, and not good for Wisconsin. Probably quite good for Kansas if you work it all the way through the system here. The other one, I heard Bruce Feldman had a great line about this in his podcast. Mark Gronowski, who was called the Team Tebow of FCS, I said he threw some passes that made him look like the Team Tebow of the NFL. Also, congratulations as a team. I've never seen this. A zero apex, a flat zero. First time for everything. Yeah, as you pointed out, Albany, that's who they played. Albany had a defensive apex last year, 104, as an FCS team. I'll point you to my quote here, Robert, and I'll give you one guess who said it. Not a sure thing Gronowski shines at the P4 level, but he should be a considerable upgrade. Just a guess who might have said that?
Probably be like Stuart Mandel or something,
That's yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. At least my Trojans gets to face one of these teams. They get Iowa at the Coliseum. So looking forward to that. I'm expecting them to have an apex greater than zero at that point. By how much I don't know, but boy,
Yeah,
that's a stinker that came out of nowhere, man.
yeah. When they play USC, the Iowa quarterbacks are going to sit there when they're on defense, just take notes, be like, "Oh, that's how you do that." But no, it's yeah. Here's the thing, right? This is where people are going to get caught by this because you look at that box score. It's not Iowa put up 32 points against an FCS team. That's fine. They had zero offense. They had zero passing apex. That is terrifying. And so that means that they literally all their offense was generated by probably defensive turnovers or short fields and just running the ball. And yeah, that works against an FCS team that you've barely ever heard of. They play Iowa State next week. Have fun. Have fun with that. Yeah, that's yeah.
I will also say I'm glad that we don't have the divisions, but just to see this quarterback go through the Big Ten West would have been just awesome to have watched. My gosh, yeah, 2.9 per attempt. That's just, I don't know. I'm guessing half those passes were underhanded if they're that short, right?
Yeah, I don't even know. How do you even average 2.9 in attempt? It's weird. There were some horrendous quarterback performances this week. These are obviously two of them, but there were some. It's just what is happening here. Honestly, to the point where I think we need to start having preseason college football games. Like, honestly. Because some of this was just so bad and so completely unprepared. Now, some of them, I don't expect them to improve. But some of them I actually do expect them to improve. But yeah, it was rough for some of these teams this week.
Yes, in part two, we had to recalibrate the bum list. I'll just say that, just to do it justice. We'll see how long that lasts. Another takeaway. I was ecstatic about this. I actually called this the biggest the biggest coordinator change in the G5 and the biggest coordinator change in all of football outside of Corey Heatherman. This is that kid, Skylar Cassidy, going from Sam Houston and their awesome defense to North Texas. Now, okay, they played Lamar, who apparently is not a good FCS team, but you literally cannot ask more of a defense than holding your opponent, FCS or not, to 119 yards. That's half of what my Trojans gave up to Missouri State, which is basically an FCS plus team. 3.3 per pass, which is good unless you're playing Iowa, and it's a regular. And 1.1 per rush. So, not a victory lap yet. This is just a takeaway at this point. This is the last time before I really start rubbing it in people's faces, because this train has left the station, guys, and there's no going back. North Texas is for real now.
Yeah, and they're in the Sun, but yeah, they're the Sun. American. I always confuse those two. I don't think this is a good time to start some people, what they do is every time they get like a paycheck, they'll invest something in the bank and put something in the GIC. No, every time you win a couple bets, just bet $20 for North Texas to win the American. That's what you should do. And then you'll win like a ton of money on Conference Championship weekend. Because honestly, this Conference USA was the American was not particularly inspiring this weekend. And yeah, 51-0 against the FCS team, fine. I will say the nothing part is the interesting one there, though. North Texas did not have good defense at all. And the fact that they actually held an FCS team to 0 points is actually inspiring. So I'd actually like that on there. So yeah, I'm going to keep betting North Texas, and we'll see where they can go. But yeah, they might be able to make a run here. I think they could win the championship. You think probably getting that at least, 15-1, maybe 20-1 right now? Just keep piling some stuff into that when you get some free cash.
They're actually 11, although Duck did get them at 22. He's also on this train. Also in the American, I like this. The American has usually not been a really compelling conference. Then last year it turned out to be fun with Army and Navy. Now this year I've got the full-on underdog I root for, North Texas, and I've got the villain, the overrated team in Memphis. I've warned everybody about this, and I feel like the little boy who cried wolf, or maybe tiger in this case, for Memphis. Brendan Lewis, a 79 apex against Chattanooga, an FCS team. No bueno. Now, I'll take you back to the American preview when I said, hey, Brendan Lewis had one nice season at Nevada. It was one nice season, and the rest of his career, he had a 59 apex over 4 seasons. I also pointed out that Seth Hennigan came on really strong as a freshman at Memphis, and basically by his senior year, his apex was down 23 points from his freshman year. I've seen that up close and personal at my school. That means your coaching is not good. I will also take you to last week when I said, look at Jalen Daniels, look at Matt Lubick. Matt Lubick was the offensive coordinator at Nevada last year. Matt Lubick is the goods. Now you're looking at Brendan Lewis going from having Matt Lubick hold his hand to a great season for him to a program that does not coach its quarterbacks well in Memphis. This is not going to go well. Reminder that Phil Steele had Memphis as his number one team in the American. I think there's going to be value in fading Memphis here before too long.
Yeah, I think so. I think last year they were a bit overvalued as well. And I think we might be able to get some stuff here this year on that especially, yeah. No, this was a great call by you on Seth Hennigan's declining apex, and they got a quarterback who they thought was good, and he's already starting to decline. Yeah, and that's an FCS team. So what happens when you play an actual team with the defense?
Yeah, exactly. So those are my takeaways. Look, Robert, I think you have just one this week.
Yeah, you covered a lot of them. I like 4. So I'll throw this one in here. This was just like a file it away for a couple weeks from now, because right now everybody's talking about the big game, Texas and Ohio State and Alabama and all that other stuff, and LSU and Clemson. Now we're going to talk about that in a second. But Oregon quietly destroyed Montana State here, 59-13. And I think people forget that Montana State almost won the FCS championship game last year. Very close, literally a last-second field goal for North Dakota State to win it. So this is not, and obviously people say, oh, it's a blowout, it's fine. But you're blowing out one of the best FCS teams. So that means, the best FCS team is better than a lot of FBS teams, right? So this is not, they beat, Sam Houston State 59-13. It's they beat, maybe half, maybe a lower tier, but they just absolutely blew out someone. And I will remind people that last year in this game, Oregon also played a half decent FCS team in Idaho State, and they almost lost that game. Weirdly, it was like ridiculously close. So again, we're not like, and we saw how far Oregon went last year. So I'm just file this away. People aren't going to talk about this, but keep this in mind. And then in a few weeks, when Oregon plays Penn State, be like, oh, I remember that. Yeah, that's my takeaway. And again, Oregon is seventh for some reason. Or actually, I'm not sure what Oregon is now. I think the AP came out earlier today. I just ignore it because it doesn't matter. But yeah, like Oregon, yeah, keep Oregon in mind. We'll see what Oregon does this week against Oklahoma State. But yeah, it's weirdly a quiet blowout. But yeah, no, this. A lot of people aren't really talking about this. I think people should just note this away for future reference.
I too, often to my own detriment, ignore the AP, which actually takes us to our next segment. This is a new one I want to talk to. This basically is where Robert and I get to be the college football Karens for a week. You have the concept of the Karens up there in Canada? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Is it like 0.76 American Karens? Is it the exchange rate hold true there?
I think so. I think even like our worst Karen is only like 0.76 of one of your Karens. Yeah, we can't compete.
Yeah, we lead the world. We have a high standard there in Karens.
Yeah,
so.
like the gold standard Karens.
Yeah, so I want to talk to these first two go together here. I want to talk to AP voters and Ralph Russo. I'll go in different order. So Ralph Russo, he seems like a genuinely nice guy. I actually know someone who knows him and says he's a good guy, but my gosh, Ralph, this story about his Texas college football's new Alabama, I don't know. They seem closer to the current Alabama than the new Alabama. I don't know. Texas hasn't won a national title in 30 years now. Happy anniversary. Ralph also ran the AP until this year, ran the AP poll. I don't know if you're aware of that. Want to talk to the AP?
Someone runs the AP poll?
Yeah. It's literally just like logistics. It's like your dispatch, just like getting the polls in and compiling. So he used to do that. And I heard him basically he was talking about his poll this week, and this drives me nuts. He said, I had Miami 15. Fine. Great. Good for you. Nobody knows what's going to happen. 15 is fine. He said, I don't want to put him too high. I don't want to jump him up too high off of 1 week. I'm sorry? Because your opinion, member of an organization that had Boise 25th. Boise. No case for him. No case. I made that clear. You made that clear that there was no case to have this team ranked. There was no case, no narrative. I want to talk to AP voters who had him. I want to talk to Ralph Russo about this logic that he has about writing this story and how he does his ballot, ? Also want to talk to Scott Frost. This is one of those things, Robert, that I've never coached a football game. I've never called a play. I've never drawn up a play. I've never put my hand in the dirt. I've never coached somebody on how to block or tackle or anything. But I've seen plenty of football, and I know for a fact that the guy who basically made Marshall Sunbelt champions by abandoning the quarterback position should not be the starting quarterback for a Big 12 program. But guess who doesn't get that? Scott Frost. He actually started Cam Fancher here. And of course, he did his Cam Fancher thing. And what happens? Then they put in a real quarterback, Taven Jackson from Indiana. Oh, he just has a nice, cool 227 apex. And yet still it was a one-score game. Again, my favorite phrase when it comes to these guys, Scott Frost just, he always tries to find a way to not find a way.
This was insane. Like, I don't think people realize that, like, UCF could have lost this game, like, very easily.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Tavian Jackson, they might have been actually, like, blown out. Like, it was bad. It was really bad. This was hilariously bad. I had low expectations for this UCF team, but they somehow managed to go under those low expectations as well. Not even close to covering the spread, which was 18.5 for some reason, or I think got to like 20 or some obscene number. No, here's the thing. Had you not pulled Cam Fancher, they would have lost this game. Had you not had that 282 yards of passing and the 2 passing touchdowns, they wouldn't have been close. And that's terrifying. Like, how do you're a Big 12 team. You're going to get bullied by a team that, yes, okay, they did come up and they were a very good Conference USA team last year, but they lost literally everything, and you're going to get bullied by them? What is happening? Like, how did you not put up 40? I don't understand how that even happens. But, yeah, they just let Cam Fancher in there for, like, half of the game, and then it just went poorly. Man, that was I look forward to seeing how this continues. This is going to be great appointment viewing here to see how this season shakes out. But if he puts Cam Fancher in again, it's just hilarious. I will say for the AP voters, I feel like it's a really dumb reason to do this, but I feel like they felt some weird compulsion to put Boise State 25 so they have a G5 team in the top 25.
Yep.
Even though that's really dumb and they shouldn't have done that, but that's 100% what they did. Because they're like, oh man, I've got to write a thing about if the season ended today and who would be in the college football playoff. We have to rank someone to. But why? Yeah. It was so obvious this was going to happen. I don't like, and the thing is, it went even worse than I thought because I was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah. Boise State should probably be able to beat USF. Maybe they lose, but it could be a competitive. They got blown out. They got blown out by a team that's not particularly good. Wow, that was also. And again, first of all, we called it. We actually undercalled it. We're like, we don't think this team was going to be that good. We didn't think they were going to lose to USF. We thought there was a chance, obviously, and we bet on better probabilities. But like, I didn't think they were going to get blown out by USF. Like, wow, that was crazy as well. But yeah, no, like Boise State is not making the playoffs. They are probably not going to win the Mountain West. And like you probably should. There's no other team that's better, but you arguably should have put Tulane, and they just crushed a Big Ten team. So definitely should have put Tulane in there.
Yeah, I think they might win the Mountain West just because they have the most talent and they have their own media rights deal, which just brings in more talent. But yeah, they're not even close to the same team as usual. They'll lose one or two conference games. I will also say, yeah, the polls put Boise because they wanted a G5 team. And this is what drives me nuts. The pollsters need a G5 team to be just shoved in their face for 8 weeks before they finally get it, which is, again, why these people stink at what they do. As I pointed out several times, I might later, I honestly forget. No, we'll talk about it. AP voters are probably good reporters, and they are inevitably horrible analysts of what they report upon. Two different skill sets. Now, in fairness to Scott Frost, going back to Cam Fancher, by my rough math here, I think Cam Fancher would have gotten to 282 yards, I think, if he had thrown the ball 80 more times. So it could have happened.
We could get there, yeah.
Yeah. Show some grace with Scott Frost. Okay. You want to talk to
Joel Klatt, yeah, man. You can see his graphic there of his. This was his preseason college football playoff. Hey, man, you okay here? That's very rough, man. Your 12 seed Boise. Yeah, it's the chalk pick. Could you have been more original? Yeah, but I guess you went with the chalk. That's fine. No one else really had them losing to USF. Okay, it's not the most defensible, but I guess you had to put someone in there, so fine. Where's Kansas State coming from? You just randomly picked. They weren't even. What were they? The sixth favorite in the Big Ten, like the Big 12. Like they weren't even the top favorite. Like where'd you just randomly pick them because what? Chris Kleinman or something? Like they not only did they lose in Ireland, which was partly their fault, but the only reason the game was even close was they got really lucky on like an 80-yard touchdown bomb. But then this week they almost lost to an FCS team. So like, what? Alabama, fine, that's defensible. We thought Alabama was good too, and maybe they can figure it out. There were some question marks, but whatever, that one's defensible. Texas, yeah, that one's defensible too. Clemson, what is this? Everyone, and we're going to talk about Clemson a little bit later, but this was insane. So many people were like, I bet Clemson to win the national championship, Klubnik to win the Heisman. I'm like, what are you doing? This is way too much. And we said this, right? And it's just like, the media was massively irresponsible. Obviously, with Archie Manning as well, they did this as well. But it was way, way too much for Cade Klubnik. You give Dabo way, way too much credit. Like, actually insane. And the media's job is not... I guess the question is, what do you think the media is? Is the media supposed to report on things and provide you objective analysis, or are they supposed to entertain you? And I think this is where entertain you with people having hot takes. And I think this is where the line in politics has been blurred. I think the line in politics was blurred, and then I think this is where sports have gotten it to this point now, where we all go for some insane hot take. We try to find everybody's, Archie Manning's going to be the ones. We got to find an alternative. That's, it's going to be Clemson. And you have to try to find this hot take to try to get people to click on your articles. And it's just, that's not, like, sure, does it get you more clicks? Sure. But what we do is we do an objective analysis. We say, hey, we like this, we don't this, we like this number, we don't this number, this is what we think. We are not like, I think this guy who was good in one game one time is going to win the Heisman next year because he plays for an orange team. That's not what we do. And I think that's the line between us and Joel Klatt and Stuart Mandel and all that stuff. And that's why I think We do a far better job than them, even though we have nowhere near the views as them. We do a far better job of this than they do. Yeah.
Herb Street, even last night, I don't know if you noticed this, there was a little bit of free time towards the end of that game last night. Yeah, he actually said that he still likes his pick of Clemson preseason. And I think he had a son that plays or played there. That's got to be driving that. I don't know. He's got some bad inside information on them, maybe. So, yeah. Agree with that on Joel Klatt.
And
Another
then,
one.
Yeah, I want to talk to the teams that almost lost to FCS teams. There's 6 of them, which is, that meme, if the meme on lines at times is, if I had a nickel for every time this weird, obscure thing happened, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird. This happened almost 6 times, which is very weird that happened almost 6 times. Also, laughably, throwing Kennesaw State in there as an FCS team. I'm sorry, you just haven't made the jump yet. But
It's fair.
That's very fair. Also, 100% Troy. They needed 28 points in the third quarter. They almost lost to Nichols, which is not a good FCS team. Not a particularly good FCS team. UAB also needed 14 fourth quarter points to win by 10. Tarleton State actually beat Army. North Dakota, which is not the good North Dakota, they almost beat Kansas. And then Holy Cross almost upset Northern Illinois. And we talk about this in like the abstract sense, right? Which is, as you get more and more talent accumulation up in the Big Ten and then the Big 12, the Big Ten and SEC, and then they push up talent from the Big 12 and the ACC, and then they pull up talent from the G5. We talk about the abstract as these leagues are just not as good anymore, but we don't talk about is the fact that means they're going down and they're somewhat getting closer to actually FCS level. I think it's the FCS is coming up a bit, and these are coming down where the gap between a player playing for a G5 team and the gap and a player playing for the FCS, especially if they're particularly motivated to take out a G5 team, not that much different. And I think that's something that's under-discussed. We're pointing it out here, but I think this is something to keep in mind going forward. Obviously, this isn't like major teams, except for Kansas State, which was ranked for some reason, but they're not going to take down a Big Ten team, but we might start seeing more of these upsets where they take down a Conference USA team or a MAC team or something like that. That's a very real possibility for some of the better FCS teams.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're just being a gentleman here. Kent State was actually life and death to
that's
beat
true.
Merrimack.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. That was my pick. They actually almost lost that game too. Straight up almost lost that game.
And I think Middle Tennessee, they lost to Austin Peay by 2 or 3 scores. That wasn't even close, man.
That's right. I forgot them. I needed even more. That's right. We have 8 now. I missed 2. That's right.
Yeah. Boy, that middle, I couldn't even talk about it. It's not even worth that could be a really rough team. The only thing that made that team go clearly is now catching passes it's East Lansing. That's where Michigan State is, right?
Yes, East Lansing.
East Lansing, yeah. Okay. All right, victory laps. I've only got 1 here. I've done enough of this. Well, I got 3 here. All right. Boise State, we'll talk about that in part 2. I picked it as my upset. I made a pretty compelling case for that. Not a 27.1. I basically said I would not bet on Boise if I have to give any points. Cade Klubnik, 59 Apex against what was not last year, a good LSU defense, might be good. If you were to guess how many times, just take a guess. How many times in all the preseason pods did I say that Cade Klubnik is severely overrated? 10? 12?
Something like that, yeah. We're both on that, and this is not a Heisman performance for sure.
No.
Yeah.
And then third, this is not going to be what you might think it is. I'm doing a victory lap for getting about as good as SEC preview guest as I could, because I said, look, I like the Alabama Crimson Tide here. I'm just concerned about the quarterback, not just that he's not unknown, but is he, as I put it in the preview, could he be Kalen's Miller Moss, where he's the least mobile guy that Kalen's ever had? And is it just not going to be a fit, just like I saw with Miller Moss up close and personal last year? And he took that and he just ran with it. He said, you're missing that Jalen Milroe was such an awesome athlete that he papered over a bunch of offensive line problems for this team last year. And Robert, I have no idea how good Ty Simpson is. I know that he can scramble at times, and that's all I know, because the dude could never even set his feet. He looked like Jackson Arnold 24 out there.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. Your words there, they stuck with me there, watching that game there on Saturday. And as, first drive, they score a touchdown. Expected, that's fine. But then as the game kept going on, and for some reason Florida State kept scoring, I was like, what's happening here? And then it was like, it was a tie game. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then is Alabama's not scoring anymore. And now Florida State's scoring again. And now it's 17-7. I'm like, is Bama going to lose this game? And then they did eventually. They just kept getting worse. And then they did lose the game. And your words of Izzy Miller Moss, it's like, wow, this is, you may have hit something right on the head here. And yeah, I mean, I think there is something to this. I think Ty Simpson has been there with Alabama for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And with some schools, I think you see issues where they just don't have another quarterback kicking around, or they have to go deeper. And this is, again, one of the reasons why we said with Oregon, it was so smart 2 years ago when they got Dante Moore from UCLA. And now they have a quarterback. And we saw that result there. They might be actually, it's early, but like we're penciling, hey, they might actually be pretty good this year. They have someone. This is a guy who I remember. I think he came in when Bryce Young was injured in one game, I think. And he never was able to win the starting job, lost to Jalen Milroe, and now all of a sudden he's just thrown into the starting job, and it was not particularly good. And I'm not sure where the floor for this Alabama team is. We don't know how good Florida State is. Yeah. I'm going to go with not amazing, because Florida State, and Thomas Castellano specifically, does this weird thing where when you look at the box score after, you see like how did they win this game, and they won this game by 3 scores. And it's, yeah, he's 9 for 15 for 130 yards passing. I'm like, how did they win this game? How do you win a game? And it's just, but they seem to do that. He seems to be able to pull it off. So I'm not sure exactly how good Florida State is. I'm intrigued to find that out. But I am not intrigued to find out where the floor is for this Bama team. I think it could be quite low. And
we might find out soon, right?
We might find out
Georgia
real
in a couple
soon.
Weeks.
Yeah, they play Georgia. They got Tennessee on there. Like, they play some good teams. And Ole Miss looked pretty good this week. Georgia looked pretty good, but again, we're not really extrapolating much off of Marshall. Marshall is barely there anymore. So but like Tennessee looked pretty good too against Syracuse, as good as you can look. Yeah, I don't know what this Bama team is going to do. And we're not at the bottom here for this Alabama team yet.
Yeah, and just to point out too, just like Miller Moss came with the USC program when Riley was aboard. Riley did not recruit him, and DeBoer did not recruit Ty Simpson. That's not his guy. Now he lucked into Jalen Milroe, obviously, but it's looking like that. And I have to say too, just mention his name, Graham Coffey. He hosts a really good Georgia podcast, so definitely listen to that if you're an SEC fan. But he's the one that really took me to the next level on analysis of that. About there's bigger problems than just like the quarterback position, which we saw. All right, your victory lap. Oh, you have a couple here. So here's
we're doing this here because it's like this is a joint one here, but I specifically was like, Clemson is not this good. You said Kate Clemson isn't good, and that's very fair. That's also very true. I'm like, Clemson is not this good. 1.6 yards per carry. I'm sorry, is that good? Is that national champion? Because again, LSU last year, not known for defense, not known. An okay team, a good team, not comparatively to the other 130 some odd teams, a good team. Not the best team, not an elite team, and far from an elite defense, but 1.6 yards a carry. And this isn't like some weird thing where like Kate Klubnik had like negative 40 yards because he got sacked 3 times. Like the most negative yards was like a -2. Like your running back went 5 carries for 16 yards. Like what is happening here? And again, like they were everybody, and I was watching. Again, I very rarely watch College Game Day for many reasons, but I was watching it a bit because it was Lee Carso's final one, and I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll watch this. And my God, they were like, as we all like, they showed a graphic. As we all know, Clemson has the most returning production. Like, that doesn't matter. Clemson wasn't that good last year. What are we talking about here, guys? It's like they said. I think I said it literally last week. I said if Syracuse didn't beat Miami, Clemson would have been ranked 10th. Because if Miami had beaten Syracuse, they would have gone to the ACC championship game. Clemson never would have had a chance to go to the ACC championship game, and they wouldn't have gone to the playoffs. And then they lost to Texas by 10 points. I said that it doesn't make any sense that the fact that Texas was a 14-point favorite over Clemson, and based on where Texas is ranked and where Clemson was ranked, it doesn't make It doesn't make sense that like 1 versus 4 was a difference of 14 points. We laid all this case out, and we absolutely nailed this one. And again, I will say, and I even said this earlier in our preview pods, we're like, I do not think LSU is that good either. This is not like, people are like, LSU is amazing. I've seen mock drafts with Garrett Nussmeier going first overall. Okay, you've gone way too far the other way now. But just calm that down because I don't think LSU is still there. LSU right now, LSU was celebrating because they finally won a season opener because they haven't won in 4 years.
Yes.
Frank Tyler's like, we finally won game one. Like, guys, we're way overhyping LSU, but I think you guys really need to sit down and be like, hey, why did we overvaluate this Clemson team so much? Was it the fact that Dabo Swinney finally brought some transfer portal kids in? Is that literally the entire bull case? Was that like to use the transfer portal, which other coaches have been using for years? This was insane. Kate Klubnik was never that good. This Clemson team wasn't even that good last year. I don't understand why they were so high on this team, and now I think there's like Clemson is so good. LSU must be so good. Stop repeating the same mistake again, guys. Stop.
I will say this: there's a very superficial wise guy angle where it's like, oh, Clemson, boy, they were pretty good. They went on a run. Their defense wasn't quite good. Now they got Tom Allen. Superficially, it made sense if you didn't look and realize, yeah, Cade Klubnik is average in FBS, not average ACC, which definitionally is below average in the ACC. And if you consider the kind of recruiting that they have, he should be way higher. I also do want to point out, yeah, I didn't believe in Clemson. This isn't like, it's not like USC. We beat Missouri State at home. Okay, it's a lot tougher to go to Clemson. You beat a legitimate team on the road, so you can't just say it doesn't count. But it's not. No, I don't. You didn't beat the number 4 team on the road. Let's settle down on that. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. And I think there are still a lot of questions about this LSU team. I think when you see such a completely uninspiring performance by Clemson on offense,
yeah,
I think it's either one LSU's defense is elite this year, which like don't think so. We'll see, but I don't think it's that good. I think as we were watching this game, and I got the same feeling when I was watching Texas and Ohio State, these are two teams that are not nearly as good as advertised. And that was the takeaway I had when watching Texas and Ohio State. I'm like, they are not this good. I'm like, both of these teams might be bad this year. And I know that sounds crazy because it's like, I think it was like 1 versus 3, but I'm like, these are not that good. These teams are not that good. And I think this is the same sense I got. I think I would take LSU over Clemson. I did. I won money from that. That's good. But still, though, I don't think LSU is. I guess they have to be definitionally top 10 now. But they're playing Florida in a couple of weeks. It wouldn't surprise me to lose to Florida, and I don't think Florida's that good either. So we're not all aboard the LSU train here yet. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the arguments get circular sometime, but I have to say, there's no way that if your longest run for the entire game was 7 yards, you're not a good team. You're not. So it's a good defensive effort, but if Georgia had done this, I would say, okay, yeah, I can buy that. But this is just, Clemson's not that good. LSU defense probably better, but as you said, they're starting from way behind the pack in terms of great defenses. So this is more a Clemson thing than an LSU thing. All right, yeah. Boy, nobody had anything to say about this game last night, right?
Yeah, no, this is another definitely a joint victory lap here. We called this one 100% as well. Honestly, we called it under. Again, this is another one where we're like, hey, if you had told me what I would expect, I'd have been like, TCU by 14. Not 48-14, right? I would expect them to win by a couple scores, not win by whatever that was. This was horrible. And the thing is, it's like, people are like, after one drive on Twitter, people were so hyped. They're like, oh my God, they're going to win the national championship. No, okay. And we called this so specifically. One, and it's really funny because Sonny Dykes, after he's all, people were disrespecting us. They weren't talking, they said we weren't anything, but they weren't talking about us. I'm like, hey, listen to our show sometimes. We liked you guys. Yes. And it's just, yeah, I feel bad for you guys because, yeah, no one was hyping you guys. We were, though. But, yeah, no, 100%. You're right on that. Everybody disrespected you guys. And we were like, hey, this TCU team is actually legit. And North Carolina was not good last year. And I specifically called exactly how this was going to happen, too, because I said, Bill Belichick is a good coach, but he is very bad at recruitment and being a GM. And he has to be a GM in college football. And, look, his handpicked as quarterback, Gio Lopez. Here's a picture of him right here. And I love ESPN here. This is a great. Last completed pass, 8:12 Eastern time. This was almost 10 o'clock Eastern. He hadn't completed a pass in 2 hours. And I think he actually, hilariously enough, he completed a pass like 2 seconds after that banner was up there. But again, it was really bad. And the best part is Max Johnson, who again was someone who fell out of the whole Texas A&M Jimbo Fisher situation. He was far better at being a quarterback than Gio Lopez was. Again, they still lost by a ton. But again, this is exactly what we said. We said he is not good at talent evaluation. And I said he's trying to play money ball, but that's not the game here. The game here is get the best players you can. You have money, spend money. And they were so hyped for North Carolina. They thought this team was going to be amazing. It was going to be the best. And the problem is they are nowhere near the talent level. Mac Brown let this team get really weak in key talent positions. And you put in some guy who's not particularly good at talent evaluation, and you're like, here, good luck. And this is the result. You get blowouts like this. Now, to be fair, and again, TCU is a good team. We think TCU is a good team. They are a good team. But at a certain point, do I expect them to continue to get blown out 48-14 in every game? No. They will have some good games. And they'll have some close games, too. And we might actually get to a point where there might be some value on them. And again, I think TCU will be very competitive in the Big 12, potentially could win the Big 12. But, this North Carolina team, we called it early. This is not a good team. This is not a team that's going to win the national championship. This is a team that's going to be fighting for bowl eligibility. And again, I just love here at the end, they threw the dog in. They threw Herbstreit's dog in. Because literally, he was like, I saw some hilarious tweets on Twitter where they were like, oh man, like Herbstreit and him are like a few minutes away from just opening baseball cards on air, like baseball card packs. Because like literally there was nothing for them to do. What are you supposed to do when it's like 48-14? They had nothing to say. They completely ran out of stuff. Nothing was happening. There was a moment in the game when I was just like, I was watching this game. I'm like, there's 8 minutes left. What are you supposed? Yeah. What's happening? There's nothing's gonna happen here. And they just have the dog in. They put the headset on the dog. It's hilarious. But it was really bad, and they had hyped this so much. They had hyped this game so much, and I grabbed TCU minus 3.5, never looked back. And even I was so close to it because after the first score, you could get TCU plus 3.5, and I was really tempted to do it, but I just missed my window I had to do something for a minute. I came back and it was gone, and that was the thing. I should have grabbed it, but no, man. TCU is going to be a good team, but this North Carolina team, this was way overhyped. And they thought this was going to be like Dion 2, which he also had a pretty rough weekend too. Again, you beat a Colorado team by 7. You lose to Colorado by 7. Okay, or no, you lose to Georgia Tech by 7. But the problem is the fact that they had 3 turnovers. What is that actually, right? When you actually remove those turnovers. No, this is going to be rough this year for North Carolina and for Bill Belichick fans. But great for entertainment though. So, shout out to that.
Yeah, a few things here on that. Number one, I think to your point, Dion broke everything here. Where, all right, not as many people were as bullish as we were on TCU. But if you know football, you can't be too surprised by this. It certainly wasn't unforeseeable, I'll put it that way. So I think Dion probably did some disfavor to this game just by breaking the template with when he played TCU a couple of years ago. I do want to point out that North Carolina, as we said in the ACC preview, they have a pretty easy schedule. So I wouldn't be surprised if they make a bowl, even with this horrible showing. You mentioned a little bit, just sincere thanks to all the geniuses on social media who right after the first touchdown drive, just masterclass, clinic. This is a Skip Bayless just said it's going to get ugly and all kinds of stupid stuff here. So appreciate y'all outing yourselves as just absolute morons. I think we need to appreciate, we actually saw the live birthing of a meme in real time here with the dog. I was looking up on my phone. Next week, Michigan is at Oklahoma. If John Mateer goes nuts and say Oklahoma goes up by 21 points in the second quarter, I can guarantee you Twitter is going to be full of, get Herbstreit's dog, where's the dog? That's going to be the new thing about the blowouts on now. It's going to be the Herbstreit's dog.
Yeah, that was a great addition. I love that. That's going to be a new thing now. First of all, why do you even have your dog with you in the booth? I don't understand that. I guess they just went and got the dog. I'm not even sure how that happened. That was just hilarious.
He travels with him. The dog travels with him.
Okay. Into the state. They bring the dog into the stadium?
Yeah. Yep. I guess he's a game day, too, in the morning with him, too.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But it's in a weird, because everybody knows the purpose of a dog is you take it to Vegas to go strangle it, and when you shoot a hostage video when you're about to make your preseason bet.
Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, no, it's going to be, we'll have to see if the dog makes another appearance this year, I think. Maybe that's going to be the blowout thing. But next they're going to interview the dog. We'll see. get dog takes. Maybe the dog might picks at some point. Like they could do that with animals sometimes. We'll see. Maybe this is going to spawn a whole new series of memes, but which is, to be fair, better than anything else that could have come from this game. Yeah, this was massively overhyped for literally no reason, and I'm happy to see the bubble finally starting to pop. And I look forward to being able to bet like North Carolina plus 7.5 against someone where they shouldn't be 7.5 underdogs. Because now it's going to flip the other way, so we'll get the back end of that too.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Things that randomly bugged Robert. You've got one here, and I have a theory on this, but I want you to run through what you're going to point out here.
So it's really funny that we have a segment like things that randomly bugged Robert. People are like, oh, like he's just making stuff. No, he just every week finds something. I was watching the first set of games on Saturday, and I had Toledo plus 8.5, which that was very lucky. But I had Toledo and Kentucky, and I think I had some of the other games on, and I was looking, I'm like, wait a minute, I think those are two different scoreboards. I'm like, why are they two different scoreboards? Because people remember the old like classic football like campus style one that ESPN has for all the bowl games. That's classic one, and they have the ones for the playoff games. They have that more professionalized one. And you could see that they had the one down there at the very bottom, the Georgia-Alabama one. That was their kind of primetime one last year. But the thing is, in this year, when we started seeing some of the games this year, when we saw Iowa State, Kansas State in Ireland, and Boise State, South Florida there on Thursday, they developed a new scoreboard, it looks great. It looks nice and professional. But, like, it's 90% of the other scoreboard that they had from last year. So, like, why would you basically have people work on two scoreboards that look virtually if you just glance at this, you think they're the same scoreboard, but they're not the same scoreboard, because I don't know why you would even, they're different fonts too. Like, why would you have a team have them develop two different scoreboards?
First of all, it's score bug.
Yes, fine. Fair.
I have a distinct theory about this, and I'm very comfortable. I haven't confirmed this. There's enough sports media nerds on Twitter where I could probably chase this down. The ones on the left here, which are grouping A, what do you notice about the home teams in those three?
Yeah, it's all SEC teams, yeah.
Uh-huh. And on the right, you have an SEC team and an American team, right? I honestly think that when the SEC failed to retain CBS, they really, I'm 100%, I'm being serious as a heart attack here. I think that losing the iconic CBS theme, they were devastated, and they demanded that ESPN like some kind of special thing for them. I have no doubt about it. And
so they get their own.
They get a special score bug.
But
the facts just dictate that, Your Honor.
That actually makes a lot of sense, but that's insane because it's the same. Like at first glance, it's exactly the same. Like you cannot tell, but if you're like, wait, there's key differences, and they look very similar. So, like they demand.
You've got your special scoreboard here, Bubba. See, it's different. See, it's a different font here.
The other one's better, actually.
The other one's better.
Like like this was the first attempt, and they're like, oh, okay, we're gonna improve it and make it better. And then SEC, no, that's ours. But like I also thought my pet theory was that it's just the SEC network ones, but the SEC network doesn't exist. It's like saying Atlantis exists. It's not. The SEC network isn't a real thing. It's ESPN. So you can't just pretend that the SEC network has its own score bug. It didn't develop it. It's ESPN. That's what the SEC network is. So it's insane. But yeah, I guess the SEC games get their own worst score bug, and everybody else gets this better one. Okay.
You know what? Along the same lines, I haven't confirmed this, but I'm pretty sure, I'm almost certain, I think that there's a special thing only for ACC games as well. I'm pretty sure about this. When they zoom back from a replay back to live action, there's a special sound. It's a whoosh that I think it's only for ACC. I thought it was like a band. It took me forever to figure this out. I think it's only. Let's keep an eye on that in future broadcasts.
Okay.
I think it's just for ACC.
Yeah,
I think it's like the ACC logo is maybe making that sound. Whoosh. The SEC logo doesn't make that sound. Let's keep an eye on that. All right. You might have known this in the past as a Narduzzi Award. I talked to the executives at Sharpest Sports, and We decided to change this to the Jimbo Award since he's no longer with us, and definitely merits having this award named after him, especially as you can see on the right-hand side here with that mythical trophy with the two dashes, 2000 dash for the national championship. He came so close to delivering, but just not quite. So, formerly known as the Arduzzi Award, now it's the Jimbo Award. I have a couple here. Actually, it's one here. This is just on the whole Arch Manning insanity coverage. Everybody's seen by now the stupid Paul Feinbaum quote where he said, Arch is the best player that we've seen since Tim Tebow, which is dumb. After the game, Ari Wasserman said, now you're getting so specific. It was his first game as the full-time starter. The full-time starter. Come on. He started 2 games last year. He played in 2 more. Full-time starter, though.
That was... I caught that, too. During the broadcast, they said, Archie Manning in his first road start. That's a very weird way to say that. Because it's like, whatever. Like, it's, okay, yes. Is it a bit different starting in Ohio State than UTSA at home? Sure. But it's not like the difference between, like, calculus and baking bread. It's the same kind of thing here, right? It's not that much different. Like, it's still a stressful environment. Like, they act like this was like a completely new thing that he'd never done before. It's like he's never thrown a football before. No, he definitely has. And to be fair, there were some moments there that were pretty impressive. Like there's a couple of good throws, some very unimpressive things, but no, 100%. And to be fair, I felt a little bit victim to this too. I thought he was going to be a lot better than he was. I thought Texas as a whole was just going to be better than it actually was. Their defense was good, though. Their defense was very good.
Yep.
Ohio State's offense was not good, which is the only reason this game was competitive. This is also now it's hilarious though because Julian Sane was like never hyped at all. Like no one ever hyped him at all, and he was also not particularly good either. So Ohio State gets to go beat up some unfortunate FCS team. I think it's Grambling or something. So yeah, he can go throw for 4 touchdown passes there. But it's just they never hyped him. He wasn't particularly good either. Archie Manning was definitely the better quarterback, but like Ohio State's defense was just better, and it was very weird in that game because I felt like Texas was the better team because they did things on offense and Ohio State didn't. But they still... The thing is, people will be like, you're like high on Texas. No, I think both of them are bad. Like, I don't even think either of them... If you told me after seeing that game, neither of these teams make their conference championship game, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I could see that. Like, I could 100% see that.
Yeah. I've got a part 2 to this, and it's going to go in a different way. I just want to take you back to 2020 when Sark was hired. Do you remember what he called? He said he called his offense at that point. He said, we're going to be all gas, no brakes. Do you remember that now?
I remember that, yes.
Yeah. Did that look like all gas, no brakes in the play calling on Saturday?
No, a lot of brakes.
Yeah, that looked like all sidearm, no footwork to me. That was a lot of brakes to your point. But here's my other part. I get nuts where the media goes out of control. College football media, they overhype this, that, and then they basically say, this guy's so overrated. Well, guess what? You, media, overrated him. You're raising a fracas about yourself, and you're not taking any accountability. I bring this up 2015 because here's a great example of this. USC preseason was number 8 because they are fresh off of a win in the Holiday Bowl over Nebraska. Wow. Okay. This team, they lost to Stanford, predictably, in September. A couple weeks later, they lose a Thursday night game to a much, much less talented Washington team. That would be the last game that Steve Sarkisian coached for USC because then he showed up drunk to practice later that week or on that following Sunday. And that was it. And you know what? By this point, USC had underperformed so many times. It's not a shame on USC thing. It is, but you know what? The big thing is shame on any idiot who put that team in their top 10. And nobody will basically say, boy, the media screwed up. No, it's just like, God, USC. Okay, yeah, sure, USC screwed up. But you know what? They weren't that good. And this happens all the time. They bring down these teams, players, coaches, whatever, that they overinflate. They don't take accountability for their role in the overinflation of it.
Yeah. No, exactly. And also, I love that you also throw a small Sark reference in there, too. I like that. That's cute.
Yeah. 10 years ago. Happy anniversary, Sark. Boy, yeah. That's coming up. That was actually on my. I think that was on my. Mm, how about this? I can't remember. No, that was in October. Kiffin was actually fired on my birthday in 2013. Getting my dates of when the USC coaches were fired, just I can't even remember which one it was. That's my
Yeah.
school. Congratulations, USC. Your brand is dysfunction, as I said long ago. All right. Your Jimbo, is this you have an issue with the cameraman that did the TCU
Yeah.
North Carolina game?
I'm just here. So we talked about North Carolina already, and that's fine. I'm going to give us a whole Jimbo itself just to North Carolina's defense. Of the two pictures here, the one on the top left and the one on the bottom, both of those were touchdowns. So just that for a minute here. Both of those plays ended in a touchdown. The
Yeah,
one
I couldn't figure with the first one. I'm like, what's wrong here?
Yeah, no, that's
To be determined.
yeah. You see the running back there. He's on the 25-yard line. This play ends in a touchdown. I Now again, this is where watching football for as many times as you do, you see this play and you're like, yeah, maybe loses a yard or two, maybe
Uh
you can
huh.
get it. No, that's a touchdown. And he literally runs right through that gap right there in the middle. And he's like that. Like there's at least four players that I could see that could to tackle him. None of them did. He scores a touchdown on that play. The one on the bottom, you could actually see it where they've basically cordoned off the running back there is there on the 33. The entire offensive line has collapsed. The guy, this, not only is this a touchdown from the 30, from basically the 30 some odd yard line, he's actually untouched to the end zone. He doesn't even get touched at all. That's how bad this play goes for them. And then this one on the top right here, just the most wide open receiver. They just completely forgot to cover this guy, or just assumed he couldn't catch the ball or something. Like literally, what we got 10 yards between him and the next closest defender. Like it's not even close. This was I think another 30 or 40-yard play, which actually hilariously set up the play at the bottom because that's how this went. This was so bad, and if you just watch 5 minutes of this game, even towards the end, things that's it's like third and 30 and he gets like 28 yards. Like what? How is this? People would run up and tackle him and then bounce off, and another person would run up and bounce off. What is happening? What are you doing? You're like, are you just running into this person? Like tackle. Like how are you not? This defense was horrendous. And again, we think TCU is a good team, but again, picture at the top left. This should not have been a touchdown. This should not have been a touchdown. There could have easily been like if he had maybe run on the outside, maybe, but he ran through the middle. How four people could have tackled him easily. I can count four people at least that should have made the tackle and stopped him for a loss or maybe a gain of 1 or 2 yards. Not a 75-yard touchdown run. That was insane. I've never seen this bad defense, but it's rare that I see this bad a defense from a Power 4 team.
Yeah, I mean that picture in the top right. Who even gets if you're going to do this? Who gets credit for a play there? It's like you or I could find that guy open, right? I'm a big Josh Hoover fan, but that's nothing special there. Just okay, I'm open. I'll just turn around and somebody will get me the ball. They could. I don't know. I think Gavin Wimsatt could have completed that one.
Yeah, we could complete. If you throw us there, we could complete that pass. He's just standing there.
Yeah.
He's not even moving. He's just standing there.
No.
It's easy to hit a stationary target. It's like throwing catch in your yard, and no one was even remotely close to him. This isn't he had to fight for it or no, just no one was there. There's just not even a person even remotely close to him.
Yep. All right. Then just a few little notepad things noted for future reference. We all picked Washington to be to pull off our Big Ten upsets against different opponents. So I'm over them, I think 7.5 wins. Watched that game against Colorado State. Weird. It seemed like they just couldn't put them away, but I was out of curiosity. I ran the numbers. 87% post-game win probability, so I think it wasn't as close as I was worried about that, just for whatever. Great metric here from Tom Fornelli. UCLA's defense had the worst success rate in all of FBS on Saturday. Congratulations, guys.
They didn't ask about North Carolina. Yeah, that was before North Carolina played, though.
That's true. Update Fornelli, please. We'll talk about it a little bit more in Island time. Isaiah, congratulations. Nice win for your Boilermakers. I do have to bring up one of my first ever little metric points here. It's a little different because it's not like Purdue was a top 25 team, but when you have a big blowout like that, but you're rushing for under 100 yards against a clearly overmatched team like Ball State, I'm a little concerned about the sustainability here. Should be running for more. Now, they'll improve, obviously, after week one under a new everything, but would just like to see a little more running here. This number is unbelievable. This is insane. Alabama State. Alabama State quarterback Andrew Bodie, I hope I'm saying that right, or Body, had a 260 apex at UAB. I don't know how UAB gives up that to an FCS team, and it's not like this guy was awesome last year. Reminder, UAB just brought in a new defensive coordinator too. So, welcome to Conference USA, Mr. New Guy. You're looking at a long season unless you get fired before the season is over, which could happen, along with his head coach. Ohio quarterback Parker Navarro, 122 apex, 93 rushing yards, at an FBS, at a Power 2 program in Rutgers. So, good sign for the new coach. Looks like the continuity hire. Good first data point for that. Bowling Green quarterback Drew Pine, yes, he's still playing. All of a robust 109 yards for 79 apex against Lafayette. Does not bode well. Bodes well for my under on Bowling Green, which kind of, I think, had universal approval in our MAC preview.
But they've got that cat, though.
Temple 42, Massachusetts 10.
Yeah, yes.
Congratulations, Mass. Long season for you guys. I think they might be worse than Kent State. They weren't that much better last year. And I don't know.
Do they play? They play, I think, right?
They do.
Oh.
Yeah, that's gonna, yeah. That means emerging from the bottom of the MAC. Noah Kim. Now, the defense is still an issue here for Eastern, but a 112 apex at Texas State. Now, Texas State isn't the best defensive team, but they didn't come close to that under Cole Snyder. So this is a really, really good sign for Eastern. Any other reactions besides the Bowling Green and the cat?
The cat looks really cute. I don't think this is going to be a great year for Bowling Green, though. But no, Temple, though, what a turnaround, right? It's crazy. You get rid of your quarterback, and he goes to another school and it does poorly there. And now you do a new head coach, and you're actually not that bad. It's pretty good for Temple. So I think Temple is maybe a little underappreciated there. Maybe we might have some Temple plays, but also UMass might also just be that bad. Yeah, again, the MAC is the worst conference in the game. They really should. It's not a question. Like, Conference USA is clearly better than them. I think we actually have a couple games for that this weekend, actually. Like, you have Western Kentucky versus Toledo. That's going to be who's the better conference team. And I think that the wrong team is favored there, but we'll get to that later. But, no, yeah, UMass might just be that bad. And, man, UMass versus Kent State. I have the under 1.5 for Kent State, so we're in a little bit of crunch time now for this one.
Yeah, nervous time.
Yeah, but this is what we live for, right? Like, the under 1.5 after winning the first game for the rest of the season. Yeah, Mark Carney gets the win there. He's not too busy running the Canadian economy. He's getting his first win as the head coach of Kent State. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And that is actually on a Wednesday. That is like full-blown action at that when that goes on, too.
Yeah.
So,
prime time. Couple thousand people in the stands, yeah. Under the lights.
Yep. All right. That is it. Thank you, college football. Thank you all for listening and watching. We will see you in part 2 when we preview week 2. Robert, I will see you there shortly.